She nearly walked out the first day. The old man hurled insults like daggers, spiteful, cold and relentless. He didn't even try to hide his disdain, but something stopped her, something in his eyes, not anger, but loneliness. She didn't know that behind those cruel words lay a truth more painful than she imagined. He was the reason her mother cried at night. The reason her last name was a secret. And now, fate had brought her to his doorstep, as his caregiver. She had no idea she was about to uncover the missing chapter of her own life. Amara is a compassionate, soft-spoken black woman in her late 20s, working as a professional caregiver in a small, privately run home care agency. Though her demeanor is gentle and her actions rooted in empathy, Amara carries within her the invisible weight of abandonment. Her father was never part of her life, and her mother, despite being loving and strong, never spoke of the man who left them behind. That silence created a void Amara has never been able to fill. Following the recent passing of her mother, Amara finds herself emotionally adrift. She has no siblings, no close extended family, just memories, questions, and a longing for connection that runs deeper than she admits, even to herself. While she dedicates her days to caring for others, her nights are often filled with solitude and thoughts she cannot quite name. When the agency assigns her to a new client, Walter, a recently hospitalized elderly white man, Amara hesitates but accepts. Walter is known among the staff for being difficult, unkind, and emotionally closed off. He has been discharged to recover at home, but refuses assistance at every turn. His abrasive personality and sharp tongue have driven away multiple caregivers. Before her, Amara's colleagues warn her repeatedly, Walter is impossible to deal with. He is bitter, cold, and downright cruel to anyone who dares to get close. Still, Amara chooses to take on the assignment. Perhaps it is a professional challenge, or perhaps, deep down, it is the part of her that still believes in giving people a chance, no matter how broken they appear on the surface. What she does not know is that this man will not just test her patience. He will awaken questions she thought were buried forever. Walter proves to be relentlessly difficult. He addresses Amara with cruel nicknames, refuses to eat the meals she prepares, accuses her of stealing small items from the house, and questions her basic competence as a caregiver. Every gesture of kindness she offers is met with suspicion or outright hostility. His bitterness is not just verbal, it radiates from every glance, every sigh, every door he slams in her presence. Amara finds herself emotionally exhausted. The job, which was never easy to begin with, begins to feel unbearable. Each visit drains her spirit. She seriously considers quitting. At night, she is haunted by vivid flashbacks, memories of her mother sitting alone at the kitchen table, trying to smile through pain, holding back tears as she sewed dresses late into the night. Her mother's silence about the past, her loneliness, and her quiet strength, all of it now resurfaces, echoing through the walls of Walter's home. During a phone call with her closest friend, Amara confesses something she can barely articulate. Walter's bitterness feels familiar. Not just in personality, but in energy. In a way that makes her stomach twist. It feels like I have lived with this kind of coldness before, she admits, her voice shaking. One late evening, while organizing his medication drawer, Amara stumbles upon a hidden photograph. It is old and faded, but unmistakable, a young, black woman, her mother, standing close to a much younger Walter, both smiling. Her breath catches, her hands tremble as she compares the photo to her own baby picture tucked inside her wallet. Shock turns into confusion. Confusion turns into rage. Could this cruel, closed-off man possibly be her father? Why had her mother never told her? Amara decides not to confront him, not yet. She needs to be sure, but now every interaction feels heavier, every task more personal. She begins noticing things she never paid attention to before. The way Walter's eyes soften when he speaks of things he regrets. The worn-out jazz record he plays every night. The broken murmurs of his stumbling prayers when he thinks no one is listening. Without saying a word, their dynamic begins to shift. He complains a little less. She listens a little more. And still, the question she carries remains quietly buried in her heart. One night, Walter suddenly collapses. Amara does not hesitate. Even though she is not on duty, she stays by his side throughout the night at the hospital, refusing to leave. Her concern for him is no longer just professional, it has become personal. During his delirium, Walter utters a name that strikes Amara's heart with shock and certainty. Lena. It is the name of her mother. At that moment, all doubts she had begun to crystallize into undeniable truth. When Walter slowly begins to recover, Amara approaches him gently, carefully asking about Lena. For the first time, his defensive walls begin to crumble. The man who once pushed her away now opens up, breaking down in front of her. Walter tells her a story long buried. He speaks of a love he once held for a woman, but left her behind because he could not face the cruel racism of his family, his own cowardice, and the shame that consumed him. He admits to abandoning the woman he loved and a child he never got to meet, a child he feared would never forgive him. Amara listens quietly, tears welling up in her eyes. Her heart is torn between fury and a deep yearning to forgive. The man before her is flawed and broken, but real in his remorse. She does not reveal the truth she now knows, that she is that very child. Instead, she chooses silence. She decides to continue caring for Walter, but now her care is infused with compassion and understanding. The relationship between them begins to shift, no longer just caregiver and patient, but two wounded souls cautiously reaching out to one another. One rainy afternoon, Walter sits quietly in his worn armchair as Amara brings an old photo album. The rain taps steadily on the window, a soft backdrop to a moment about to change everything. Amara gently opens the album and points to a faded baby picture. She looks at Walter with steady eyes and says, "You knew her?" Walter leans closer to the photograph, his hands trembling slightly. Tears begin to well up in his eyes as he studies the image carefully. The room grows still with the weight of the moment. After a long pause, he finally whispers, That is my daughter." Silence fills the space. Time seems to pause. Then Amara takes a deep breath and quietly admits, "I am her." The room feels as if it is holding its breath. Walter's composure breaks completely. He crumbles into tears, sobbing uncontrollably, whispering over and over, "I am sorry, I did not know, I did not know." Amara wraps her arms around him, unsure of exactly what she feels. Years of pain, loneliness, confusion and longing all collide in that one fragile moment. Grief and betrayal interwoven with a hesitant, fragile love. This reunion is not perfect. It is messy, raw and deeply human. But it is honest. It is real. In the weeks and months that follow, they begin to rebuild something neither expected: family. Walls that had stood for decades begin to crumble. Walter begins calling her "my daughter" with a tenderness he never showed before. Slowly, Amara finds herself calling him "Dad." a word that once seemed impossible, now carrying hope and healing. Walter did not have many years left, but in those final years, he lived fully because of her. Amara, once a woman burdened with unanswered questions and silence, finally received clarity and the strange, quiet warmth of belonging. She forgave, not because he earned forgiveness, but because her heart deserved peace. Sometimes life writes endings that no one anticipates, not through grand gestures, but through small, trembling truths. In a house once filled with bitterness, laughter echoed once again, not perfectly, but beautifully, because love, even when broken, still has the power to heal. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe so you do not miss more inspiring and heart-touching tales.